I was about 20, I realized the most important thing, and I had been able to prove it to myself. And since then, I've been able to prove it to the world by demonstrating it in my relationship with Violet. As I said, I could not be with a partner unless they were my partner. In other words, I am not supporting Violet. I certainly can. She can also support us. So each one of us was able to make the same commitment to the other when we first connected. Okay? Mm-hmm. And this was really important to us both. The commitment was, if either of us ever feels we are with our partner for their sake, we will end the relationship. I've never been with Violet, ever, for Violet's sake. Okay? Right. Now, I agree, Violet has done very well in our relationship by being with me because I've done everything I could to empower her and encourage her to be exactly the person she is, which she knows would be a difficult thing to replace. Most men are not able to encourage a woman to be the person that she is and do the things that she needs to, including the people that she needs to who may not be me, and still feel totally comfortable and worthy. Similarly, Violet has encouraged me to do everything that appeals to me, even those people that she might not want to join me in enjoying.
So how do you open up that dialogue with the people watching this and thinking, okay, well now we're moving into the subject of like being very, very open with your relationship to a level of you actually have multiple sexual partners. Like how does one engage in dialogue with their partner about that?
Let's start with the concept of open. Okay?
Yeah.
The term open in an open relationship or an open marriage, open lifestyle, isn't about open zipper, okay? It's about open communication. I have no secrets from Violet. Anyone who's ever seen us together will know there's no point when I go before I tell them something. Mm-hmm. Okay? Violet is always welcome to walk in at any moment and very likely to, and nothing changes. When I'm speaking to Violet, people can tell I'm speaking to Violet because they hear the love in my voice, but none of the words change. So the thing I was trying to get to is that I had taught myself by the time I was 20 that there was a very good reason that so many relationships cratered and destroyed themselves. And I consider this to be one of the great goodnesses that I can share with people. I encourage them all to share it with as many people as they can. The reason that at least half of new marriages in modern times collapse. And by the way, the fact that 50% of first marriages end in divorce isn't scary. The scary part is that nearly 50% of marriages end in death. I'll explain why that's scary in a moment. Recognize that a marriage should only end in one of two ways, either death or divorce. Those are the only options. The ones that end in divorce usually because the two people who had connected have either grown and developed and changed who they actually were, which happens, or much more likely, have merely lost the ability or the justification to continue pretending the way that they pretended to be in order to connect in the first place. The reason half of marriages end in divorce is because almost everyone marries a stranger. Almost everyone marries a person who, during the entirety of the courtship, they pretended to be someone other than who they actually were because they projected their partner needed that.
Right.
The reason I'm 14 years into a great relationship with the woman I love is because she knows exactly who I am. I am consistently exactly who I am. As the years have passed, as I have rebuilt myself and become more and more as I am, she's been a participant the entire time. There has never been a point when I have tried to pretend to Violet that I was any different than I am. If I ever had the urge to posture, I had burnt that out of my system years before we met, because I learned when I was very young that one thing that is truly impressive about a person is when it is clear that they are doing absolutely nothing to either appear or be impressive to you. In fact, every woman I've ever known can sense instantly when a man is trying to be impressive to her. And what could be more of a belittling truth than for another person to recognize that you think what they think of you is more important than how you actually feel about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason that so many marriages crater is because people get into the marriage believing, this person will only want me if I'm better than the person I actually am. Because after all, if they liked me the way I actually am, they'd be too easy. Right? That's Marx's paradox again. So a man figures, I've got to be on my best behavior, showing her the very best possible version of me. So I'm going to pretend to be better than I actually can accomplish being when I'm not on. The girl likes the guy. Perhaps she actually thinks this is just the way he is because he's that good at pretending. And then, of course, as time goes by, it's hard work to have to pretend to be someone you aren't all the time. And of course, it leads to all sorts of circumstances where a person is talking with their dear friends, and their dear friends are the ones who will accept them as they are, rather than as the person they have to pretend to be. And they're looking around to see whether or not the person who is supposed to be the closest to them on earth is within earshot before they tell their other friends something real.
Yeah.
Well, that seems completely contradictory in every way to everything reasonable a person can do. From my perspective, it's very straightforward. I could not imagine being with a person who did not accept me for who I am. In fact, that would be the ultimate self-sabotage. Right? So, when it comes to relationships, almost everyone is taught that marriages take work, relationships take work. And from my perspective, work is the application of effort specifically to ensure the accomplishment of a particular task. I don't want to have to work to keep my relationship going. I want my relationship to work on its own. So in order for that to be true, I need for the other person to know me as I actually am. The whole idea of pretending to be different than I am so that I can get the person I'm supposed to spend most of my time with, the person who really should be my very best friend, to be able to put up with me, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Your relationships with your closest friends require no work. You don't have to pretend to be any different than you are. Your closest friends can know all of the truth because either they accept you or they're not really your friends. So when I say Violet is my very best friend, I mean it. She knows everything. I have no secrets from her at all. This means she knows when I see a girl walking by I think who is really hot. Now, it's great that Violet is openly bisexual. I can say, what do you think of her? And she'll go, she's trying too hard. I don't think she'd look that good in the morning when she took off her makeup. I'd say, you're probably right, but I don't need to know her well enough that I'm going to spend time with her in the morning after she takes off her makeup. And she'll go, knock yourself out. Violet's nickname is Snowball.
Snowball, why is that?
There's a few reasons. Firstly, when we first met up, I had already had a tradition with my playmates of many of them having hostess confection names, like Twinkie, beautiful East Asian girlfriend, explained she was yellow on the outside with a creamy white filling. Hey, somebody had to play there. And another girlfriend who's a Jamaican-Canadian girl who was called Cupcake. Same sort of deal. Chocolatey brown, frosted, white creamy filling. Anyway. So Snowball is generally the pink, frosted, coconutty confection, but it's also a porno term for what happens when a girl, generally in heterosexual porno, a girl either receives a man's ejaculate into her mouth and then passes it to another girl, and then it's passed back and forth, and like a snowball, it grows in volume as it continues along. So Violet's thing, since my fetish is watching my playmates enjoying my semen off each other's faces,
Fuck.
Violet is very good about that. Hey, everyone's got to have something, right?
Right.
And I'm very, very proud of the things I've learned to do in the bedroom and to keep girls happy, and it's an interesting thing. I began my deep perversion many years ago, before internet, before porn was commonplace, and certainly not commonplace in Canada, before the term semen facial was so common and that the experience was de rigueur. And you can tell the generations as they've gone forward, because when I was young, the penthouse letters would feature blowjobs because they were something new, or 69 because it was something new. And then a few years later, it was threesomes. And then it moved on to anal. Like, each of these things became the subject that was the cool new thing. And semen facials didn't start being a thing until the late 90s, when internet started making it impossible for people not to see semen on faces and without expectation when pop-ups would show up on your screen. I would say I have probably introduced a staggering number of girls to the fun and sometimes sexual thrill and psychological thrill of being a recipient of semen facial, because I was very clear with them at the early days. That was something that really did it for me. And in my day, they would go, "Oh, what are you talking about? Oh, that sounds so gross." I'd go, "Look, honey, I would never, ever, ever come on any girl's face who was not inviting me to. But if you're ever thinking how much you appreciate me and would like to do something for me that would really rock my world, now you know." And pretty much without exception, by the end of our first encounter, they were going, "Okay, do it." Come all over my face. Because they wanted to please me.
Right.
And as it got more commonplace and things, and I had become more jaded, I kind of upped the ante. I realized that what I really liked was delighting my multiple partners to the point where they were licking my cum off each other's face. And that's an interesting thing. You got to realize it's not as simple as why guys like to have a girl swallow their cum, because they feel so accepted. They feel approved of. Don't feel rejected. But this is something purely done for an egoistic psychological thrill, because the girls know that by the time there's cum on their faces, I'm already done. I've got maybe 90 seconds to watch this before I'm really going to need to pass out. But they're very happy to make a show of it for me because they want me to feel appreciated. And that is the greatest compliment possible.
When it comes to like fulfilling, like you say, like that's your desire, and that's what keeps you satisfied in the bedroom and all this kind of stuff. Can you go too far down the rabbit hole of fulfilling all your desires and fantasies? What do you think about that?
It's a great question. How about this? I have tried an astonishing number of things to see whether or not they give me a rush. Lots of things that in my mind, before I did them, I thought would give me a rush. Turned out not to be anything special. Okay, yeah, sure. I see the appeal, but I no longer have any craving for that.
Right.
It's interesting. I have taught myself how to be a real wizard when it comes to delighting girls and introducing them to things they're not comfortable with or they've been frightened by. Many, many, many women that I've been to bed with have told me they've tried anal and hated it. So I say, well, if you're interested, I'm pretty confident that I have enough in my bag of tricks that I can help you to find a way that it will really be wonderful. And if you'd like to go that way, then let's do that. We'll add it to the stuff we can try. And generally speaking, it works out very well for them, because if a girl is enthusiastic, even if she's timid, trepidatious, as long as she knows that the reason the man is doing this is with her pleasure in mind, and the man remembers constantly that that's what he's doing,
Mm-hmm.
it can be great. And so I love bringing girls to a place where they start to really enjoy anal. At the same time, to be perfectly frank, anal's not so great. I mean, for the first 90 seconds, pretty cool. And then, of course, I'm ready to move on to something that's a little more grabby. Because once the sphincter's relaxed, then there's really not much going on. But knowing that it's blowing someone's mind is incredible. But I would say having a simultaneous orgasm with a girl while she's having an orgasm from anal is very uncommon for me unless I know that's what she really wants, and so I'll psych myself into it because the action of anal penetration isn't going to be enough to bring me off. I've gotten to a place where I'm so jaded, and to be honest, if I meet a new girl, part of the reason for my semen facial fetish is because I know we're going to be using condoms, which means that actual orgasm for me, ejaculatory orgasm for me, from penetration is off the table.
Mm.
So after that, the number of options have changed down quite a lot. So I know the odds are very good. By the time I get off, I'm probably going to be holding my own unit to bring myself to the final climax. And so unless she's looking up at me and inviting me to do it on her face, it's going to be kind of lonesome. I suffer occasionally from what I call post-mature ejaculation. That's where I have my orgasm while my dates are having their cigarettes.
Right.
But in order to not have that as a problem, I've found ways to involve them. But girls need to feel their participants. Girl needs to know that she's getting you off. It's very important to her. If you have not had the experience of needing to fake an orgasm, I would be surprised. I say this to you as an individual. Many men never do, partly because many men actually are conspicuously not good at it, but I'm sure you're not that sort. If you were to ask 100 girls what portion of men that they've hooked up with could actually reliably bring them off, the number would be terrifyingly low. And that's pretty normal. So when a guy actually comes to own his shit, when a guy actually is the person he should be and he cares, and he can satisfy the first three, the three things that make him sexually interesting to every girl. Right? Again, he knows who he is, he loves and respects himself. He holds his frame, he is who he knows himself to be. He loves and appreciates women and encourages them to be who they are. And he can lead. He makes decisions. He doesn't say, I don't know, what do you want to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
He says, I'm going out for Greek food. Who's coming with me?
Yeah. He's a leader.
Right? Most people mistakenly think that a person who gives instructions is a leader. Usually people we think of as natural leaders are actually just bossy. You do this. You take care of that. That's not leadership. Leadership is, come on.
Yeah.
Okay. So when a man satisfies these first three, he could find any woman. And in fact, when a woman knows that a man has those three, she knows he could have any woman he wants. In fact, every woman who's in love with a man projects onto him. He could have any woman he wants because she sees all four, which are the first three, plus that he's interested in her as an individual. She knows if he changes who he's interested in to a different woman, she's going to fall in love with him too. So she ups her game to make sure she remains interesting to him. And this is what keeps relationships healthy and ongoing, because the man provides those first three, and the girl ensures the fourth one maintains itself. So in 14 very happy years of my partnership, Violet has many other playmates of both genders. I have been to bed with Violet with a whole bunch of our mutual male friends and their significant others sometimes. And we're not swingers, because swinging is usually something that people do when they find themselves stranded in a relationship in which the love is there, but there's no longer any sexual intensity.
Yeah.
I describe this saying there are 3 I's that matter. Not like 1, 2, 3, but 3 words that begin with the letter I. Intensity, intimacy, and infatuation. Infatuation is kind of a drug. It's a chemical. I refer to it as amour fou. It's like a trademark. Amour fou is French for crazy love.
Right.
Man meets a woman, or a woman meets a man, and for reasons beyond their control, they find themselves psychologically entranced by this person. Doesn't matter what's wrong with them. This person is awesome. A crush, but a big style crush. The thing is, that only lasts about 18 months if you have unrestricted access to the other person. It can last a lot longer if there's some other contention causing the intensity to climb, like they're married, or you're married, or something keeping you apart. But generally speaking, a man and a woman, or whomever, hook up with one another. When you meet someone who's new, and particularly cool, and particularly hot, which is hard to accomplish at the same time, the intensity is right up top. The intimacy, of course, is at the very bottom because you don't know it. Now, these are a sliding scale, and they're integrated. As the intensity tends to drop, the intimacy tends to climb. You get to know them as you learn more about them, as you get to the point where you're the one pushing the glycerin suppository into them because it's easier for them than they're having to do it themselves. When you never bother to close the door to pee. Okay? When you get to an intimacy level where you become integrated, when every night that you go into the same bed is not to have sex with your partner, but because that's where you sleep, then what happens is, ultimately, after the infatuation, which artificially keeps you from climbing above 30% on the intimacy scale, or dropping below 70% on the intensity scale, right? When the stop is removed, and suddenly all the things about your partner that you always thought were really cute are now suddenly annoying. And as the intimacy climbs like crazy, and finally it totals out, and you've become as family, when the intensity has dropped to completely a zero. Now you're siblings sharing a bed, and perhaps sharing a family and children and a lifestyle.
Right, yeah.
Those people end up becoming swingers because they don't know how they can rekindle the intensity. What they've learned is that most people keep the intensity high by doing things like cheating, lying to their partner, picking fights with their partner. These are ways people do things just to keep the intensity alive, so they can have make-up sex.
Mm.
Okay? In an open relationship, you're constantly sharing everything. You go, you know what I need? I need to meet someone who's a challenge in a different way. You want to come out with me and find someone like that? Or should I go out on my own? Actually, you know what? I know someone that will drive you crazy, but I'm sure you're going to want to climb all over it. Let me call him up. Well, So for me, I'm not into BDSM things. I've done everything. I'm very talented, I'm a very skillful service top, but not talented. In other words, I don't get anything out of applying punishment to a girl.
Mm.
If I'm spanking a girl, it's because I know it delights her, not to punish her. So if she wants to feel she's being punished, I'm not the right man. If she wants to feel the excitement of being spanked, I could be the right man. I can do that job. Okay? I'm very good with knots. I was a sailor, I was a Boy Scout. But I don't actually get a rush out of tying someone up. So I'm a service top if I'm tying someone up. Mostly it's for photography. Someone wants to model doing something, I'll do that.
Right.
I've got buddies who are wizards, so much better than me. I would send off any of my playmates to them in a hot second, and of course, encourage them to take it to whatever ending it finds itself, by all means. If Violet said to me, I'm going out with a bunch of girlfriends of mine to see the new Colin Firth movie, I said, knock yourself out, babe, have a great time. Really glad you're going to do this, really glad you're doing it with your friends. Let me know if you want me to come pick you up afterwards or whatever. I'm going to probably be hanging around at home. Thank you so much for not requiring me to come with you. Similarly, if she said, I was out and I met a couple who are part of a jazz band, and they invited me to come and party with them and the rest of their musical group, I'm going to be the centerpiece for their bukkake orgy. So knock yourself out, babe. Have a really great time. If you need me to pick you up, let me know. Is there anything you need from me? I'll be here for you. Thank you so much for not requiring me to participate. Okay?
I mean, but you know, it's stuff like that. Like, how can someone get to that stage in their relationship? For you, it seems like you've just been there from a very early stage.
You got to start from this place. Everyone at some point has a best friend that they're afraid of sharing.
Right.
Oh shit, my two closest friends are getting along really well. They're hooking up to go out someplace when I can't join them. I've got that fear of missing out. Or what if they decide to go hang out without me? Or I know that this one's got a friend I can't stand. What if they bring them out and then my friend is stolen away from me? Remember that jealousy is your ego screaming at you. It's screaming, if you gave your beloved the choice, they wouldn't choose you. Take a moment and think about that. If you love someone and they wouldn't choose to be with you by their own, isn't it pathological and psychotic to try and keep them with you?
Mm.
If you love them, their happiness and welfare is critical to your own. If they're miserable because they aren't getting to experience the things in life they need, because of you, don't you need to send them out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? It's self-evident when you recognize your ego is the conflation of two primary emotions. Okay? The primary emotions are fear, okay? Fear of loss. And the secondary emotion, or the second emotion, is rage. Fury at having to feel that fear. So when a person is jealous, it's because they're afraid they're not worthy of their partner.
But what about a woman that actually, you know, she might do something because she wants to see that her partner is jealous, because that is a way
It's
for
pathological.
her to see that, oh, he wants me,
Yeah.
you know?
It's very simple. Passive aggression, such as emotional manipulation of that form, and all emotional blackmail, okay, is terrorism. And I don't negotiate with terrorists.
Right.
I'm going to be the way I am. I remember the last time I felt jealous. It was almost unbearable. It was this sense of, oh my God, what if I lose her?
Right.
And it just went on and on. Almost, it might have taken as long as half a second before my brain kicked in. What the fuck are you worried about? Okay? I would have no problem with her having some fun recreational sex with this guy. It looked like he knew what he was doing. B, if she could get greater satisfaction in life from hooking up with him for fun, it would be insane for me to try and stop it. Because if I did try and stop it, all that would do would be put a black mark against me in her mind.
Mm-hmm.
It would also be profoundly hypocritical. Okay? And ultimately, it meant I was suggesting to myself that maybe she wouldn't want to have any part of me because I wasn't every conceivable thing that she might be after. Which is, of course, nuts. So as soon as that was over, I sort of giggled to myself about it. As I say, it took a long time, half a second anyway. And then I giggled. I told her about it afterwards. She said, what are you talking about? She said, he was lame. And I said, well, you seem to be having a good time. She said, I'm an actress.
Right.
I said, Good God. She never reconnected with him for anything. She worked with him in another scene. Again, he hoped that they could look up, because she's very skilled and very talented. But she found him to be an okay performer, not a good lover. She was happy to be in the scene, but it was work. She was a performer. Totally fine. Now, the funny thing is, I've got a bunch of friends here in town, some terrific people. One of them, John Lichtenberg, who I'm not sure if you've met. Every January he comes, and he teaches a whole bunch of the fundamentals of masculine dominance, and the guy's a wizard with it. Truly, the best coach I know for BDSM. And he comes in and he brings the pain. Anyway, he comes and instructs. Violet and he are playmates who adore and love each other. There is no sense of competition. I know that Violet always knows that if she's interested, she can make a call and John will drop almost anything he's doing to get a chance and play with her. Great. It's very nice knowing that that's true. It's also very nice knowing that overwhelmingly what she actually is looking forward to most of the time is right here. The only reason she's with me is because she chooses to be. Because she knows she could walk outside and find a random stranger who would gladly do damn near anything to spend time with her in about 5 minutes. She knows for me it would take probably an hour. I'd have to head all the way downtown to go out and start flirting with girls before I'd find someone who would gladly do anything I wanted. But in her mind, she knows if I'm not with her, odds are very good I'm with somebody else. And that reminds her she's not without competition. She always has to make sure she stays on the top of her game. But the truth is, she knows I come home because I know where home is.
Yeah.
So let's take a moment and talk about frames you can present this to your friends and your partners.
Yeah, I think that's what people want to, because you're talking about like living that sort of lifestyle. But,
So let's make it simple. Here's a model I tell guys all the time. Overwhelmingly, women desperately find themselves attracted to and sexually interested in tigers. Okay? Tigers are men who are powerful, effective, self-directed. They own themselves. They do what makes sense to them. And other people want to be around them because it's so clear that whatever the tiger is doing is probably a pretty good choice. When a girl finds she has met a tiger, she thinks, oh my goodness, I've got a tiger and he wants me. I'm going to bring him home. She brings him into the house. And they have sex. And in the morning, he goes. She goes, what happened to my tiger? I finally found a tiger and now he's gone. Oh my God. So next time, she's not going to make the same mistake, she decides. Next time she finds a guy like that, she's going to bring him home. She's going to nail closed all the windows, lock all the doors. She's not letting him get away. A few weeks later, she finds she's got this 13-foot-long, 1,000-pound domestic house cat who's pissed off. The litter box problems are enormous. But he's stopped being a tiger. Because in order for him to continue being a tiger, he's got to be allowed to go out and do tiger things. And come back to his own home as suits him. Otherwise, he stops being a tiger and becomes a big disgruntled house cat. Mm-hmm. And so what most girls will do is, after a couple of times, getting furiously angry, what happened to my tiger? Become emasculated. I say, if you want to ride a stallion, you can't geld him. In order for him to be a stallion. Okay? So I say, look, if he knows where home is, he comes back to home. This is normal. Everyone who's ever had a cat has had a moment where they opened the door and the cat ran out. Oh my God, the cat ran out. What are we going to do? Cat's gone away. Come back, kitty, come back. I've got cat food for you. Come back. After a few minutes, oh my God, I hope he's okay. What am I going to do? 6 hours later, he comes back in on his own. You go, don't ever do that again. You scared the life out of me. And the next day, you go to open the door and boom, he's out again. Now, you can panic again and again and again until you realize he goes out, he comes home. By the end of a few weeks, as you're walking out the door, you're leaving out, are you coming or what? Okay. And that's how it is and how it should be. Animals and people need their freedom. They need to be able to make decisions for themselves. They also know what works for them, and they will return. In that whole concept, if you love something, set it free. If it comes back to you, it's yours. If not, it never was.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the only way I know how to live.
Right.
Because like I said, when I was young and my best friend was going out with someone to do something and I didn't like them, I'd go, oh no. And I'd realize, well, look, either they're going to come back, or what I thought was an important relationship clearly wasn't.
Yeah.
So the openness component in a relationship is being candid, open communication. Open in the sense of glasnost, right? Open in the sense of transparent. Nothing covered, nothing hidden. You can see, you can look right in, you know what the real deal is. Well, the truth is, when you're in love with your best friend, that can endure forever. And if it starts to come apart at the seams, loving your best friend, you want what they want. You want what they need. If they need to go off and do something different, you encourage it. You say, go do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be here. And so off they go, and they come back. And this works very well. I pretty much have no exes, going back over 20 years. I'm probably batting above 500 on girls I've met and flirted with and had a real conversation with and have been to bed with. Now, it doesn't happen always right away. Sometimes it happens a month or several months down the road. Sometimes something gets in the way. I meet girls, I adore girls. They adore me because I encourage them to be themselves and I show them who I am. And while I'm not for everyone, I'm not to everyone's taste. Sometimes I say I'm like licorice. Not everyone enjoys me, but the ones who do, they sure enjoy me a lot.
Right.
But I'm okay with that. I'm not interested in putting any effort at all into appearing or being someone other than me. By all means, I improve myself in as many ways as I can on a consistent basis. I got a room full of exercise equipment. I'm trying to get myself into better shape, and it's a real challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a terrific trainer, Alex, who's been doing great stuff for me and helped me get a whole lot further ahead in development, because there are ways in which I'd like to improve myself. I'm not doing this to get laid. Holy shit, I was 350 pounds fucking Miss Czech Republic. I've never needed to be in shape to be sexually interesting and attractive to women. Because what a woman craves, those four things, may be exhibited in any man of any type, including a man who's not a man at all. A woman can be with a butchy lesbian who provides the same four things and be completely satisfied and happy and never think of herself as being gay because her butchy lesbian is actually a dude trapped in a woman's body. These days we're accepting that as a concept, but it's totally normal. The truth is, and I'm pretty confident on this, the greater the population pressure, the greater the likelihood that mommy unconsciously and unwittingly changes the mix in the hormones she releases to her gestating baby. So it doesn't really matter whether you're an XY chromosome pairing or a double X chromosome pairing. Mommy thinks, gee, we've got lots of resources and not much competition. I could crank up the testosterone levels a lot and generate an organic alpha ambitioned male. Because we could use something like that. And so, without even realizing she's doing it, she'll crank up the masculinizing androgens in the womb, and the baby will be born assertive and self-directed and unwilling to be subjugated, rambunctious, and maybe it'll have a penis, and maybe it will have been a double X chromosome. It'll be a butchy lesbian who craves the attention of feminine people because it doesn't matter that she's an XX combination. Her hormones have built out her personality and her physiology of her brain in a masculine way. And so she thinks of herself as male. Similarly, when there's too much environmental pressure, when there's not a lot of resources or a lot of space, mommy almost certainly tunes down the testosterone in the womb. So it doesn't matter that her beautiful baby boy is in fact a beautiful baby boy. She didn't put many testosterone or androgen hormones into the mix. And so he rose up being much less masculine or maybe entirely feminine. And the reason that in large cities, the greater the concentration of the city, the greater the instances of children who organically decide they're gay. Because what they're interested in is the opposite to the fundamental drives they have. As soon as you recognize that this is a biologically evidenced certainty, and you can see it in all species, okay? All species have homosexuality, only humans give a shit about it. Okay? You go, okay, so people are as they are. Don't get caught up about it.